Janie's friend Amelia had nice clothes and the nicest shoes and was always fashionable. Janie just envied her. Amelia wore Louboutin red bottoms. Janie took out a loan on her house to buy the same pair. Amelia had a Chanel purse. Janie used her husband's credit card to buy one. Amelia had a Gucci dress. Janie bought two and went on and on about how amazing Amelia looked. She was absolutely obsessed with Amelia's closet and made big sacrifices to get it, even though her marriage was on the rocks and their funds were low. Every day, Janie came home with a request, and every day her husband told her they couldn't afford to keep making purchases like this. Each day, Janie dismissed him and did it when he wasn't paying attention, and of course, they always paid the cost afterward. After a secret shopping spree to buy all of the new things Amelia had that day at work, Janie returned home as usual, happy, ready to apologize to her husband. "It won't happen again, and I'll get the money for that bill as soon as possible." When she got home, her husband was sitting on the couch, a smile plastered on his face. He said, "Let me guess, another accidental shopping spree, and you're going to make up the difference?" She smiled. "I'm so glad you get me." Then she went upstairs and went to bed. The next morning, she went to work and saw Amelia's shoes. She went online to get the shoes, but when she made the payment, the card declined. She tried over and over again. Nothing. She called the bank and found the accounts had been frozen. She freaked, calling her husband, but there was no answer. She stressed through work, and when it was done, she clocked out and rushed home to find her husband packing boxes and moving furniture into a U-Haul truck. Janie became frantic. "What's going on?" she asked. "Well," her husband said, "we have been evicted." She yelled, "What?" She looked over at their landlord. "What's going on?" she asked. He said, "You promised you would get me the money weeks ago, and you haven't. I'm sick of your broken promises. You need to leave." He walked away, and Janie said, "Wait, where are we going?" Her husband said, "To my parents." "What? Your parents hate me." "I'm not going," she said. "Well, then go live with Amelia. After all, it's the reason we're in this mess. If you need me, I'll be at my parents' home." Then he closed the truck and left her standing there. Janie cried in her car, not knowing what to do. The first night, she slept in her car and used the clothes she had put there from the house. The week went on like this. Her husband called, begging her to come to his parents' house, but she refused. He would come to let her bathe and eat, and he would make sure she was always safe. Sometimes he did drive-bys to make sure she was safe. She always knew when his car circled the block. She knew people would look at him strangely for not being with her, but it was her choice to do so. After a week of this, he called and said, "I found a shelter we could check out." She cried. "Yes," he said. "That way we can be together, and you wouldn't have to sleep in the car." "We can be together, please, Janie." She sadly said, "Okay." The next day, they went to the shelter and spoke to the director, who let them take a look around. While walking down the hall, a woman bumped into Janie and said, "Excuse me." Janie went to help pick up her laundry, and the woman looked up to thank her. Suddenly, the woman jumped up, grabbed her clothes, and ran to one of the rooms. Janie stood silently. When they were done, Janie's husband shook the director's hand and said, "Thank you for the tour. We're going to think it over." When they got to the car, Janie cried and said, "I spent all this time running behind an illusion." Her husband said, "Janie, sometimes we just have to get to know people by who they are, not what they own." She said, "You're right." He smiled. "Let's go home." Janie said, "Okay, I'll come with you just tonight." Her husband smiled, cranked the car, and drove, but the way they were going wasn't to his parents' house. It was unfamiliar. He parked in front of a strange, small yellow house. Janie said, "Where are we?" Her husband said, "Our new home." Janie said, "What?" "Well," he said, "we did lose our house because we couldn't afford the payments. I downsized the house, but I knew you would never stop the habit of following Amelia. The landlord and a friend of mine from the shelter, who knew Amelia, came up with a plan. I know it may seem cruel. Janie interrupted, but the lesson had to be learned. Thank you, he said. The two hugged and went into the home. It was small, but beautiful. The furniture looked stunning. For the first time in a while, Janie felt peace within the gift she was given, and not for what she had to pretend to be. We keep forgetting, Jesus wasn't a religious man, he was a believer in God. People think religion and religious titles make them Christian. Christianity is just a religion, and Christ wasn't a religious man. He was a doer and a believer in God, not in Christianity. There's a reason Jesus and the Pharisees never mixed. It wasn't jealousy alone, but because they were blinded by religious titles and had not been transformed into true believers. You can slap a label on anything, it doesn't make it so. You can say Christian all day long, but it doesn't make you a believer in or of God. There's a reason God said, "You shall know them by their fruits," because what you produce is better than what you say. You don't make a case by hearsay or words, you make a case with solid evidence that no one can refute. When people see you, they should see the glory of the Lord in you and in your life, not how much you run your mouth. Church pews are full of imposters, and that's why God said, "I will spit you out," because he knows the heart better than anyone. He knows his faithful versus the religious zealots, and it's time we get some discernment. Being religious doesn't mean being a believer, just like being a good person doesn't make you worthy of the presence of the Lord. Just like Janie learned, it's not what you own, the labels you wear, or how good you seem. True faith and value are shown in your actions, your heart, and the life you build. That is what God sees.